Hello friends! Welcome back to Storytime with Mora Rachel. Before we read today's story, I'd like to give a big shout out to Ellie, Mendy, Nachum, and Shmuley from Pittsburgh. Thank you for watching, friends. If you want me to give you a shout out, send an email to rachel.mora@gmail.com. I can't wait to hear from you. Today, we are going to be reading As Big as an Egg. This book is written by Rachel Salmon, she's the author of the book, and illustrated by Hannah Zakashinsky. She is the illustrator. She drew all the pictures. As Big as an Egg is published by Chaim Publishing. They gave us permission to read this book together. The night was cold. The line was long. Chaim was very tired after working all day. He was very hungry as he waited and waited to buy one small loaf of bread. One small loaf of bread on Monday, one small loaf of bread on Thursday. That was all anyone could buy years ago in Russia during the war. So they were not able to buy a lot of food, just one loaf of bread to eat for a few days. Chaim, like everyone in the bread line, had a special card. In order to buy bread, he needed to show his card at the bakery. Finally, it was Chaim's turn. Chaim held out his bread card and got his loaf of bread. Chaim was happy to be going home. He wanted to eat a fresh piece of bread and to drink some hot tea before he went to sleep. As Chaim walked out of the bakery, he saw Bubba Hinda. There she stood with her bulging sack. He tried to leave quickly, but Bubba Hinda could see him. Bubba Hinda saw Chaim. She came over to him and asked, "Will you please give me a piece of your bread to bring to the people who are sick? They don't have any bread because they are too sick to wait in line with their bread cards. Please put some of your bread in the basket." Chaim was very, very hungry. He wanted to eat all of the bread by himself. But Chaim couldn't say no to Bubba Hinda. So he didn't want to give Bubba Hinda the bread, but he also couldn't say no to her because he knew there were so many sick people that wanted it. Bubba Hinda opened her sack. Chaim looked inside and saw the many little pieces of bread that the other people had given her. From his own crusty loaf, Chaim pulled off a piece of bread about as big as an egg. With a sigh, he dropped it into the sack. Bubba Hinda smiled at Chaim and she said, "Zo sein zu mitzvah." May you merit to do more good deeds, more mitzvahs. Chaim went home. He was very hungry. He felt a little sorry that he had given away some of his bread. So he gave some of his bread to Bubba Hinda, but he was not happy about it. He wanted to keep all of it for himself. The next time Chaim was able to buy bread, he went to a new bakery near his work. He held out his bread card. He got his loaf of bread. Chaim clutched the crusty loaf to his chest and hurried home. So he went to a different bread line, to a bakery that Bubba Hinda was not waiting at. He was glad that Bubba Hinda was not there to ask him for bread to feed the sick people. He was glad that he had all of it for himself. At home, Chaim washed his hands. He pulled off one chunk of fresh bread and said the bracha. He took tiny bites of bread and sipped his tea slowly to make his bread last longer. After thanking Hashem for the food, Chaim wrapped up the rest of his bread, said Shema, and went to sleep. The next day, when Chaim came home from work, he thought he heard a scurrying sound. He thought he saw something run into a hole and hide in the wall. He thought he saw the tip of a tail shaking like a scolding finger. Chaim took out his bread and found that a piece was missing, a piece about as big as an egg, the same size of the bread that he would give to Bubba Hinda. It was missing. Chaim was very annoyed. He looked around the room and closed up all the holes that he could find. Then he washed his hands and sat down to eat his bread and drink his tea. I must be more careful with my bread next time, Chaim said to himself. In a few days, Chaim came home from the new bakery with another loaf of bread. He ate his meal. Then he wrapped his bread carefully and put it away on the highest shelf in his house. Now his bread was safe. Chaim smiled and said Shema, and then he went to sleep. I wonder what will happen in the morning. Let's see. When Chaim came home from work the next day, he thought he heard a scurrying sound. He thought he saw something run by. He thought he saw the tip of a tail shake like a scolding finger. Chaim pulled down his bread from the shelf and saw that a piece was missing, a piece about as big as an egg. Chaim was upset as he washed his hands. He was upset as he ate his bread and drank his tea. I must be even more careful next time, said Chaim. A few days went by, and Chaim came home with bread from the bakery. He ate his bread and drank his tea. Then Chaim had an idea. He wrapped his bread carefully and hung it from the ceiling on a thin, slippery piece of thread. Now his bread was really safe. Chaim smiled as he said Shema and went to sleep. I wonder what will happen this time. The next night, when Chaim came home from work and opened the door, he thought he heard a scurrying sound. He thought he saw something run by. He thought he saw the tip of a tail shake like a scolding finger. Chaim jumped on a chair, pulled his bread off of the slippery thread, and saw that a piece was missing. A piece about as big as an egg. Let's see what he's going to do now. A piece of his bread was eaten again. Chaim began to wonder about the missing bread. He was thinking as he washed his hands. He was thinking as he ate his bread. He was thinking as he drank his tea. Finally, Chaim said to himself, not all of my bread is meant for me to eat. Some of it belongs to Bubba Hinda's mitzvah sack. The next time Chaim was able to get bread, he went back to his regular bakery. The night was cold. The line was long. Chaim was very tired and very hungry. Finally, it was his turn to show his card and get his small loaf of bread. As Chaim came out of the bakery, he saw Bubba Hinda holding her bulging sack. This time, he ran right over to her and said, please take some of my bread to the sick people. Bubba Hinda opened her sack and Chaim dropped in a piece of his bread, a piece about the size of 2 eggs. So he gave her a really big piece this time. Bubba Hinda smiled at Chaim and said, "So sein zu mitzvah." And Chaim smiled back. When Chaim got home that night, he opened the door and slowly peeked inside. He thought he felt something scurrying across his foot. He thought he saw something run outside. He thought he saw the tip of the tail shake like a friendly wave goodbye. And Chaim never saw a hint of Bubba Hinda's helper again. So we learn from this book that sometimes when we get something like bread, we have to share it with others. At first, Chaim did not want to share, but then he realized that some of the bread wasn't meant for him, and he had to share it with the sick people. This was such a great book to read together. You can get a copy of As Big as an Egg at your local Judaica store, or you can click the link below to buy on Amazon. Thank you for watching, friends, and see you next time with Storytime with more Rachel.